Hello everyone, welcome back to 5D Chess with Multiverse Time Travel. We're going to get into a game against the computer here. I'm sort of playing around with the idea of maybe like not just playing standard, but I don't know. Excessive is really quite excessive and the others are just so small, I don't know. We'll just keep playing standard. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. That seems like a good place to be in. I've decided, I don't remember if this was the case in the last game, but I really like these knight to the outside openings. It seems kind of weird, but it like reminds me that in that recent game, I like developed this knight, but I put it here. Or no, I actually don't remember what happened. Oh, I must have been black. Like I developed this knight and put it here, except for black, it was like the knight on the queen knight. I developed it like here. No, I'm still confused because there was somehow I ended up getting a queen to like this square in the past, or this, I don't know. Somehow I put a knight in the way of my queen, and I thought moving it to the outside would fix that problem, but actually it doesn't. I don't know. I found that also the computer seems sort of predictable. He always just grabs the knight this way, and I'm happy with that. I don't know. It leaves me with a developed bishop and him not, so I'm reasonably happy with that. I'm also like relatively safe to castle whenever I feel like it now, which is a great spot to be in. Not really sure what else I should be aiming for at the moment. That pawn's a little bit scary, but like not super scary, I think. He can threaten to take here, but if he does, I can take with the pawn and retain a good kingside structure. So I think I'm just gonna like get going with the knight. The scary thing would be like if he pushed this one to kick me away, but I can just jump into space the pawn was in and still have a pretty threatening knight, I think. Right? Like what's he gonna do about this? He can't get me. I just have this sick knight sitting in one of his many, many holes. Ooh, that sounds a little bit. Oh, this isn't a hole. Yeah. These squares are holes. I'm not very good at chess. But I just like, I don't know, whatever. You make as many pawn moves as you want, you weirdo. I'll dance around with my knight all day. I don't know, you're just like exposing your pieces in the past, right? Like, okay, my knight is he's getting a workout, but at the end, what have you done? You've just really weakened all your structures so that I can get in here and do nasty stuff. Right? You're out of pawns to threaten my knight with. He's tangoed them all. Alright, I'll defend here. You can take me en passant. But if you do, my knight can retake, so that's fine. And ooh, this pawn push is extremely dangerous for black. I think queen here, if it's not checkmate, it's close. Right? Like, I'll be able to... I don't know exactly how long this line has been open, but it seems like an awful long while, right? Yeah, it's forever. So if I could just plant my queen here, I win. Now, you know, if you can recapture my queen when that happens, then... Oh, so I guess you resolve that issue by pushing this pawn? Then I can take here, and my queen is blocked by my pawn. So instead, I think I should sack the knight when you push. I don't know, this still seems good to me. Oh, okay, you could do that. I wonder though, like what if I just trade queens? I still have some pretty powerful attacks over here, and you don't really have anything. The other thing I could do would be like this. I forgot to turn this off. Someone in the comments told me you can turn it off by turn it on or off by clicking this button, whether it does that. So this is like the sickest attack in the world, right? It takes a queen and it forks the king and the rook. And like the king has to move, and then I have two knights like up in your grill, so to speak. This just seems like totally worth doing. It means I can't like trade queens on this board, and it's going to be hard to get to here to deliver a checkmate. But I have such a strong position on this board that I'm reasonably happy with that, I think. Like, white doesn't have any threats on this board, I don't think. Black doesn't have any threats on this board, right? Maybe you take with this pawn and I retake, who cares, right? You do have a pretty good bishop, though. I would love to trade dark square bishops if I can. I don't know. We'll just do this. It looks good. And, technically, the king may legally take this pawn because he's not in check yet. But he will soon have a past version of himself in check if he tries, I think. By this knight, right? So I think queen here defends this knight tactically, right? Suppose king takes knight. Now, if I just leave my knight alone, he'll be attacking the king, the past king who's standing here. Like, okay, black moves here, there's a new board here where the king's here. I do nothing with my knight, and the knight who's here is attacking the king who's here. So I'm already developing one check. If I just sit there. Now, I guess the problem is that this knight is under attack by this bishop. But, like, if you take it, I just grab your rook, and I still have a pretty good attack, so I think that's fine. Wait, maybe I should just take the rook now. I wonder if that's a good play. I did, after all, just fork the king and rook. But, it just feels so, like... What if I did this? Is that crazy? It's checking the king, and the king can take here. I'm just like, I don't know. When you have two knights up in the king's face in 5D chess, I don't think you should be trying to pick up a rook. I think you should be trying to checkmate. You know, another kind of cool thing you could do would be to throw two knights into this square. The first one maybe gets taken by a pawn. The second one delivers another check against the king. But where exactly can the king go to hide from that check that isn't like under threat by this bishop or by the knight continuing to move? I don't know. It seems like a knight sack is going to work out pretty well. I guess I could just like check the king while he's still standing there. Then he takes this knight. But again, as discussed, I don't think he can do that. Well, if I had put my queen here, he couldn't, but maybe he can in this world, right? He just has to take this knight. Ah, but I can prevent that by interposing my bishop. Because if he moves here, my knight will be developing a check by just doing nothing. So they have to take the knight on the next move. And the only way to do that is with this bishop. But I'll have a spare turn to interpose my bishop here, preventing that. I suppose this on this board you could travel back into the past and get a queen who's standing on this space but two boards up to come over and grab this knight, but then I get to take a queen for a knight, and that seems fine too. So I'm alright with black threatening to take this knight. I think I have some pretty cool stuff going on if he does. He didn't do that. He saw through me, perhaps. And what happened over here? You just took my pawn. Can I just like do this? Check you again? To keep this threat alive? I think so. I would love to offer to trade queens, by the way. Maybe this is the first step. Ah, you just get to win a pawn if you do that. Oh, I see. I didn't notice that by moving the queen over here, or no, by skipping a turn here, I was giving up a pawn. Also, something I want to keep in mind is that I have this move in reserve, which is a very powerful tool. If I can deliver a checkmate on this board that needs a resolution from this board, I can stall for a turn by checking a passed king with this bishop. So I don't want to go in for this now because it's not really doing anything important. But it's something I have in my pocket to stop black from using time travel to escape, if I can deliver something really juicy on this board. Speaking of, is there any reason to like maybe take here first? Or I guess it would be here, right? Oh! Does it matter which one I go with first? Not really, I guess. But I could do this first or later, and I'm not really sure what matters. Like what is the big idea between the two? This delivers a check now, but that check doesn't seem to matter because the other line also delivers a check. In both cases, I'm like giving up 2 knights to win 2 pawns and this attack. I don't know, maybe that's not so great. Maybe I go in for this check with the bishop. And I don't know. There's got to be something big going on here. It's just like I don't see it. The other move I was considering was this one, which, as I say, I believe tactically defends this knight. Yeah. I think it would be game over if white tried to take that. So maybe that's what I do, is I don't just start sacking stuff now. I build up more pressure by adding more pieces. The queen is threatening to get involved, even if she's not like directly involved yet. She has a nice easy path in. That black would rather not see happen. And then sacking these 2 knights to pick up the bishop is important, maybe, because a queen here will be checkmate if the bishop is gone. Or, well, black can maybe travel back in time or something, but no, probably, I don't know. No, that seems fine. I'm just not sure what to do over here. I think I'm going to ignore this pawn threat. Oh, no, that's the dumbest move in the world. I was like, look, this way if he takes the pawn, the queen is hanging. I got him. But like, that's not really so great. Let's just trade my queen and my bishop for a pawn, huh? Not such a good play. This is why I keep telling you guys I'm not a good chess player. A move that sort of looks appealing in a similar way is this pawn, but it's actually terrible. Is it? I think it's terrible because when you if black takes, you retake with pawn and lose rook. But you can retake with queen, and that's a pretty good developing move, I think. You sort of accept you're losing a pawn anyway. And so you get it by you lose it by declining to recapture now instead of later by the queen taking an undefended piece or undefended pawn. That's a little spooky, isn't it? What is this bishop up to? Okay, and what happened on this board? Right, I forgot. I talked about it for a little while. This knight is hanging. That was why this whole thing was like kind of good as a way to rescue one of the knights. Now it doesn't work at all. Whoops. I don't know. I like check here. You take. I throw the bishop in, and if you retake, then I have a fork of the king and the bishop, and I don't know. I'm giving up a minor piece for 2 pawns, maybe? No, wait, you just take the knight now. This looks bad. Okay, I mean, I can do what I said and like tactically defend the knight, but I feel like if I had an attack here, I've bungled it, and I should just grab a rook while I still can. And get this queen going? Stop this pawn from opening up my back rank. I still really want to get a queen to this square undefended, but that's obviously a long way off. Maybe I should I would love to get a rook on an open file somehow. Even if it's just sacking it to blow up one of these pawns, because they're all so critical to black's survival. But I don't know. The only file I could really open up would be like to push this pawn. I could push this one and then scoot over here, but delivering a check just in the current dimension is not very appealing. All right, I'm done trying to analyze. Let's just submit and hope it's good. What happened? Took with pawn, sure. So we decided we were doing this in that case to keep everything tied together. And down on this board, bishop here. That looks like throwing away the bishop for no reason. Am I crazy? It's not like this knight can get down here to deliver some vicious attack against my king. He's pinned. So I think we just take it. There's not really any transdimensional attacks on the queen even, right? This bishop is... If he were one timeline up, he'd be defending, but he's not now. Yeah, let's just do this. Okay, knight up. And here, you just put the rook behind a pawn for some reason. All right, so this is, I think, when I get to take advantage of that play I was talking about earlier. Oh no, the knight is here now. I see. I've lost my ability to deliver a check on this board, haven't I? No. I can do it with my queen. I can check here. It's a check against the present king and also, so some past king way over here. But I don't really care which, just as long as I'm checking something. And then queen here. And this is checkmate, right? Black is in check on both boards, and very importantly, this king is also under attack, which means that anything black does on this board, unless you can take the queen on this turn with that move, it will let me take the king. So even if you try traveling back in time to stop her, before you can actually do it, I'll just take your king. So it won't work. So you have to time travel on this board to get out of it. But you can't. This king's in check. So you could take my queen, but that's not time traveling. You could send your king back in time, but then this king way back here somewhere gets it. I'm not sure who, but somebody's dead. This has got to be checkmate, right? Yes. Yeah, so we were on both boards attacking a present king and a past king. And on one of those boards, there was no way to deflect it without moving across boards. On this board, it's easy to resolve the check. You just take my queen. But on this board, you need help from another dimension, and sacking my queen here provided the cover that I needed. I find that this is a way to sneak attacks in that the AI doesn't see. It's very good at spotting its own mate in one when it's just like, oh, I'll just move a bishop here and you're checkmated. 5 moves in the past. And it's reasonably okay sometimes at defending mate in one on a single board. But when you can coordinate 2 different boards, even if it's just by delivering a kind of weakish attack on one board that needs help from another dimension, usually it's not always that hard to get help from another dimension. But if you have any checks in store, any of them just lying around, you can deflect. Maybe deflect is the wrong word. You can make the other board flinch, right? You can throw in a check, even if it's hugely expensive, at the same time as you deliver a check that just needs a little bit of help on the other board. So this is one reason why it was really important to retake with queen instead of with pawn. Not just because we would be dropping the rook otherwise, but also because, remember, this square that I had my eye set on since forever ago, I don't remember how long, but for a while I was like, oh man, I want to get here. And then black started piling up pieces on it. But the point is, you retake with the queen to keep that square in view. Even if you can't deliver a checkmate on that square, you can deliver a check, and that's often good enough. Because you can prevent the opponent from using that board to defend another board. Okay, so we did one time travel here. The opponent didn't choose to do any. Another kind of long and narrow game, which is too bad. I mean, I don't know. I think that's how the game should be played, and I've talked about that before. But I kind of feel like it would be more exciting if the computer found some cool time travel opportunity and we had 5 or 6 timelines going on. But that means we get the video over. I'm not going to try to start another game at this time. Who knows how long they could take, right? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.